The true cost of a modest lifted Toyota Tacoma setup. Good morning and welcome back to Robmotive. So, what is the true cost of a modest Toyota Tacoma lift setup? You know, I've had, I don't know, maybe two, maybe three different lifts before I finally discovered the one that was right for me. And that's key there. You really have to get the one that's right for you. We're all sensitive to different things, right? We all want different looks, different options. We all use our trucks differently. So this is what I consider to be a modest lift setup for the Toyota Tacoma for me. So first of all, you don't just do the lift. You also have to throw in wheels and tires, or at least tires, because if you're gonna lift the truck, you've got to put bigger, meatier tires on it. Otherwise, looks kind of funky. Looks like donuts on there. So we're going to include that as well. So first of all, we've got the lift. Now, I'm going to put up a picture. This will show you the parts, the components of the lift that I have on my truck. Now, it actually ended up to be 2 inches in the back and 3.5 inches in the front, which is okay. I am a little bit higher. The front sits up about 1/2 inch, all said and done. Now, the lift itself, I kind of call it a hybrid lift. It has new shocks in the front, new shocks in the back, new coils in the front, as well as blocks and spacers. There are spacers in the front and 2-inch blocks in the back. That's in addition to the shocks that I put on as well. All are Bilstein. Now, the cost of this, and this includes labor because I did not install this myself. So obviously, if you do it yourself, it'll cost you a little bit less money. But all in, it was about $1,600, let's round it up, $1,700. That's for all of the components and the installation labor. The time was about 4 hours, 4.5 hours, something like that at the shop for them to go ahead and install the lift. Now, how do I know that? Because I sat there and I waited and watched the whole time they did the lift. They did an excellent job, by the way. I'm very happy with the shop. So all came out really, really well. Now, I mentioned you can't do a lift without changing at least the tires. Now, in my case, I changed the wheels as well. I went with a different wheel, a fuel wheel, and took off the stock tires for something a little bit more meaty. I'm gonna put a couple of pictures up right here so you can see exactly what the specs are, because people ask me, what wheels and tires do you have? What's your lift? So here is a screenshot of what the wheels actually are, the offset, the size, all that stuff, and the sizing and brand and type of the tire. Now, you can see I do have a negative offset, and that is important because the last thing you want to do is lift your truck and have any rubbing. I had rubbing before on my 2018 when I had an even wider tire on there and not quite as high on the lift itself. I believe the offset was right about the same, somewhere in the -12 region, but it did rub a little bit in the front. Didn't dig that, wasn't real happy about that. I did end up changing the tires out eventually. We put them on my wife's Jeep Wrangler because there are no problems on the Wrangler with it rubbing like it did on the other truck. So I say it has to be a bit higher with a good offset, 3.5 inches in my opinion, with a -12 offset on your wheel and a 285/70 R17 size is perfect for the Tacoma. No rubbing, no cutting, nothing, no issues. I do know people who have gone with that size tire with a different wheel offset. In other words, it was moved further in, and have had rubbing both on the UCA and also in the front of the fender well and on the frame in the back. Some of them have had to cut, chop, adjust the fender sleeve or the fender insert there, if you will. I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't think it should be necessary to do it if you do it right. So that's key to me. As far as the level on the truck goes, if I'm being honest, I would prefer it was level. I do have a 1/2 inch higher look in the front because it is 1/2 inch higher in the front. Now, initially I had done that because I was going to replace the bumper. I was going to put a steel bumper on the front. That would have added more weight, and of course, that would have pulled the front down a little bit more. That should have taken up the extra height that I had. In other words, the weight from the bumper should have pulled it down to make it more level. I was taking a guess there that it would only be a 1/2 inch, but who knows. As it turns out, never got any information back from the company I was trying to deal with, so that hasn't happened yet. Haven't given up on that, still interested, and that's part of the reason why I have not done anything to reduce that 1/2 inch in the front. If I wanted, I could take it in, maybe put a smaller spacer in, something like that to bring it down a hair, but honestly, it's not that big a deal, and I really don't notice it unless I'm looking at the truck at the right angle and it's sitting in the right spot. The good thing about it is when I take dips into parking lots or in and out of parking lots, you know, when you're driving on the main drag and you turn into one of those strip malls or something, usually there's a big dip. I don't have any problems with the front end hitting. The first time I noticed it, I was actually pulling out of a McDonald's parking lot. Go figure, right? I was turning right, and I had the wheel cocked to turn it right. Went pretty quick out of there because, of course, there was traffic coming, and, you know, I just couldn't wait that extra 10 seconds. So I hit the gas, pulled out, took that dip, and that's when I heard and felt the tire kind of catch a little bit in the front. Didn't do any damage, fortunately, because the last thing you want to do is hit your fender or wheel well or something in there, have that tire really grab on and rip your fender off, or at least loosen it up. And that is why you really need to pay attention to keeping the tire away from those internals. You certainly don't ever want to tear anything up or have any major issues because of a lift. Now, as far as the price of the tire and wheel setup, you can figure about another $2,300 or so, something like that. So when you add that to the price of the lift, which in my opinion, it's the whole package that you should be looking at, talking right around $4,000. Now, as I mentioned, it can be done for less money. You can go with just a simple block and spacer. That shouldn't cost you any more than probably somewhere between $800 and $1,000. Then throw in the price of the wheels and tires, you're still at about $3,300 or so. So about $700 or so more to do what I've done on this truck. Anyway, I just wanted to get on, kind of run over that real quick. There's a lot of new people on the channel. There's a lot of new people out there buying lifts, buying Tacomas. I'm getting more questions about that kind of stuff, it seems. So I thought I'd put it together in a video and let everybody know. Leave a comment. Let me know what you're looking at doing. Just a block and spacer? Or are you going for something more involved? I'd be curious to know. Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.